Welcome back to Life on Mars. This is a Brink special report. Before the recent announcement of methane gas on the red planet, NASA's mantra in the search for life had been follow the water. Convinced that water ice lay just below the surface of Mars, NASA scientists desperately wanted to examine an actual sample. Well, easier said than done. That would turn out to be one of their most difficult missions. August 4th, 2007, a rocket and its precious cargo, the Phoenix Mars lander, left Earth on a mission to Mars.
We're standing by for completion of turn to entry.
The tragedy of the Mars polar lander, which crashed 8 years earlier, had set the stage for this new mission. Team leader Peter Smith was determined that Phoenix would succeed where the earlier mission had failed.
We lost our chance with Polar Lander, and now we've got another chance. Phoenix is coming back from the ashes.
Phoenix, a robot geologist, was equipped to dig beneath the surface, analyze the ice and soil, and search for evidence of life. Only a goal as important as this could justify the enormity of this endeavor.
Landing on Mars is so risky. You really need a payoff to balance that risk.
The biggest risk would be as Phoenix approached Mars in May of 2008. It's called 7 minutes of terror. It's when Phoenix decelerates from nearly 13,000 miles an hour to a soft touchdown on Mars. It'd be up to the Jet Propulsion Laboratory's chief engineer, Gentry Lee, to ensure a successful landing.
From the very beginning, everyone associated with Phoenix has realized that this is a crapshoot. So what we have had to do is meticulously go through and list all the bad things that can happen, and one by one, try to hammer them down to naught.
Phoenix must land using outdated pulse mode thrusters.
We took what we had, we took what was left over, and we tested it and tested it again. And now we believe we've done all the tests necessary. They should do the job.
Finally, on August 4th, 2007, Phoenix took off without a hitch. For everyone involved, the mission was already a dream come true.
This spacecraft is doing what I always wanted to do when I was a child, and that is fly to Mars.
But the ultimate test was in landing. After 10 months in space, Phoenix was just hours away from its encounter with Mars.
Imagine working on this job for 4 years, and now, today, in 3 hours, you're going to find out whether or not you did it all right.
Everyone prepared for the moment of truth.
Atmospheric entry on my mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Parachute detected. Radar reliable. Constant multi-phase detected. Altitude 20 meters. 50 meters. Standing back for touchdown. Touchdown signal detected.
Everything went off without a hitch. It was,
I don't think it could have got better.
yeah.
Tell us your goal for the Phoenix now.
Get some pictures back. We want to see Mars.
The Phoenix touched down on May 25th above the planet's Arctic Circle. It was a perfect landing.
We were very pleased to see that we landed right on top of water ice, and the thrusters spread the soil away and revealed ice right underneath our lander. This was unexpected.
Its robotic arm, more than 7 feet long, dug trenches into the soil. There it found traces of substances that only form in the presence of water.
We know that we have calcium carbonate, which on the Earth would typically be in the form of limestone, and we have clay. These are indicators of a liquid water past.
It was one more step in the search for life on Mars.
Well, I think we're approaching that hypothesis. We understand, though, that Mars has many surprises for us, and we have not finished our investigation.
After operating for more than 5 months, the Phoenix Mars lander had sent back 25,000 photographs, ranging from panoramic vistas to near atomic level images. It monitored weather conditions and even detected falling snow. It took and analysed many samples of the Martian surface, documenting a mildly alkaline soil that could even support vegetable life if the planet were warmer. After the last major experiment analysing soil samples, a storm hit, and in November 2008, the Phoenix lander was silenced. Well, we haven't brought back any Mars rocks to Earth, and neither the rovers nor the Phoenix probes found any direct evidence of life there. But something's producing all that methane, and if it is life, what would it look like? Well, one way to get an idea is to look at what kind of life forms exist in equally inhospitable environments right here on Earth. So I sat down with a scientist who spends his life doing just that, searching for living organisms deep beneath the Earth's crust in places like South Africa and the Arctic.
In the crust of the Earth, if you drill down deep enough, you can find some organisms that appear to be living in the rocks at depth. They don't even, require anything from the surface.
And previously we had always assumed that all living organisms required sunlight, I guess.
Exactly. And so it was obvious. I mean, it was blatantly obvious to us at that point that if you have life existing miles beneath the crust of the Earth, on Mars, you could still have life existing well beneath the crust. The first couple of kilometers on Mars, around the entire surface, the rocks are completely saturated with ice. I mean, it's frozen. And as you go deeper down, you get below this icy layer, which we could call the cryosphere. You would have liquid water and organisms like the ones that we have found here on Earth, producing gases like methane, for example.
The kinds of microbes that live on rocks beneath the Earth's crust are tiny, many of them less than a micron in length. But they often form dense colonies, and they have a signature. They give off methane, and also often consume it.
As one organism respires its waste product, another organism is consuming that waste product. And so you can get, even though the organisms themselves are very, very simple looking and tiny, they develop some fairly complicated, larger scale structures.
The Antarctic, with its extreme cold, is another place scientists look for life that's found a way to survive in a harsh environment. Here they've found liquid lakes under the thick ice, harbouring millions of microbes. Their origin dates back to the beginnings of life on our planet.
So here we have a piece of ice from ice-covered lake in Antarctica.
NASA's Chris McKay has made 25 research trips to these frozen shores.
Here in an environment where the temperature is well below freezing, and yet underneath thick ice covers we find deep lakes. And at the bottom of some of these deep lakes, we find methane-producing bacteria. So the connection to Mars for us is very interesting. What kind of organisms are making that methane? And could these ice-covered lakes in Antarctica be models for what existed on Mars early in Mars history? And if there's life on Mars today, are they relics of the communities that were more widespread when Mars may have had lakes?
If life exists on Mars, it might turn out to be related to life on Earth, or it might not.
All life on Earth is the same, biochemically. If we go to Mars and find a different type of life, a different DNA, or maybe no DNA at all, different proteins, maybe no proteins at all, by comparing those two types of life, we might learn things about life as a phenomenon that we would never learn by just studying one example. And all of a sudden we would see two books of life. And now we'd be able to cross-reference them. And maybe that would help us solve some fundamental problems in biology that have proven very hard to solve, like the origin of life itself.
It's hard to decide which would be the more exciting prospect, life like our own, or a completely alien life form.
If it's different, I think that would change everything. Philosophically, scientifically, even about who we are. It would really tell us we're not alone. And if it works on Mars, a little dirty ball of dust, a stone throw in the universe away from us, my God, where else could it be?
It's exciting stuff. There's a lot to look forward to. We're going to delve into a deeper look at the methane plumes on Mars when we return with this Brink special report, Life on Mars